In this video, we will be looking at the iManage Work web interface. First of all, how do we get into that? The URL to get to iManage Work on the web is https://imanage.coop.co.za. When you type that in, it'll take you to a sign in page the first time you go in, where you can sign in with your AD credentials. I would suggest that you add a shortcut to your shortcut bars so that you don't need to type in the whole URL every time you want to access iManage. I have a subfolder on my shortcut bar for Coop, and I just go in there and I can select iManage Work and I get in that way. When you land in on the iManage Work home page, you will be taken to a page called Recent Documents. This is one of the two options that you get when you are on the Documents tab. This is our landing page in Coop for iManage Work. So everybody will, when they go in to the URL, this is where they land, is in Recent Documents. When you go in the first time, your recent documents list will be empty. The reason for that is that you have not interacted with any documents in iManage yet. As you start interacting with documents, your list will start populating. So on the left hand side we have the tabs for the different elements in the system which we can view. At the very top of the screen, next to our iManage Work logo, we have what is known as the search box, the basic search box. And we use that to search for information. That will be the subject of the next video, is basic searching in iManage. The question mark next to your username would be to view help tips and also to access the online help system. If you go to learn more, that is where it will take you. Next to the view type button is show hide details. If you click on that button, you will find that you get more details about the document that is selected. And there are three tabs to this details view. There is properties, versions, and a preview. So in this properties view, you will find a lot of the properties that we spoke about earlier. These are properties that are attached to the documents simply because they are inside iManage. So we can see here's the title. Below that we have the document number. So this document number is 102,296, version 7. And it also gives us a size. Then it tells us who the author was. This document, I added a comment in here to say Nina made changes to her profile, and that was when I saved the document as a new version, which then became version 7. And I added these comments so that anybody could see why I created a new version, and so that I could remember 6 months down the line, if I wanted to go into that document again, which version it was that I made changes to, and which one I would like to perhaps edit again. Then we have various other properties here, the document type and the subtype, so we can see that this falls under a type or a class of planning and a subclass of resource plan. The last operator on this document, so the person who made the edits, was me, and this normally we cannot change because the person who is logged into the system will automatically show up as the operator. It shows us the create date of the document and the default security, which in this instance is public, which means that anybody who has access to this URL will be able to view the document. And then lastly, on this properties view, we can see who the entity is that this document belongs to. So in this case, it's an internal work document for Coop, so it belongs to prospective clients, because we this document consists of some employee profiles that is going to go on a web page to show prospective clients what who we are. And the workspace or the project is then called prospective clients, EY iManage CoFlow. If we go to the versions tab, you can, this is a nice example of what the comments fields do. So version 1, we can't see any comments here, but I don't think it had any. And then when George opened version 1, he saved it as a new version and he added a comment to say that it was where he updated his info. Version 3, the last user on there was Amy. She didn't change the comments. Version 4, the last user was Donovan, and there is the comment, etc., etc. Right, so this is how we can see how the versions for a particular document evolved. Because we add comments, we don't need to open the document and go and do a comparison between that version and an earlier version to see what the changes were. If we make proper comments and add the gist of what it was that we added or removed from a document in order to justify a new version being created. Right. And then the preview will just give you a quick preview. We will look at that in more detail later as well. To change, or to close this detail view again, I'm just going to go back to that toggle button in the top right, which now shows hide details. It is showing details at the moment, so if I press it again, it will hide the details, and there it is gone. When you go into iManage for the first time, you will see that there's also this filtered list that shows up here. At the moment, and yours will show the same when you go in the first time, the only filters that have been applied are the ones that says activities, and the only activity that it is showing is edited. Then there's the databases and the date, which defaults to the last 30 days. For new users, I would like to suggest the following to make your own lives easier, and that is to go and expand the filters for activity. By default, when you go into iManage for the first time, the only filter that will be selected is the edited activity option. What that means is your list of recent documents will only show documents that you saved newly into iManage, or if you worked on existing documents and made changes. So in order to show everything that you possibly can do in iManage terms, you need to go and expand the filters. And the way to do that is the following. On the right hand side of your screen, you will find this filters button, and you will see there's a little notification that tells you that 3 filters are active at the moment. You can see 1, 2, 3. So when we click on that filters button, it opens up all our possible filters on the right hand side here. We click on the filters button, we can see all the possible filters. You can see activities, only edited is selected at the moment. To open up the list of possible activities that we could want to show, we need to click on this down-headed arrow on the right hand side. If I click on there, it gives me a list of options. I want you to select all of them in the beginning. Once you know iManage well, you can go and deselect those, or only select the ones for the specific activities that you would like to keep track of. But the thing is, one gets confused. If I tell you that everything you interacted with in the last 30 days will show up on your recent documents list, and you know that you viewed a document in the previewer just yesterday and now it's not showing up in your recent documents list, then it is because it is filtered out by these filters. So just to get used to the system, please select all of them, and then like I say, you can always go and deselect later. Please note that all the filters, everything here, whatever you select, are called sticky filters. And what that means is that once you select something in a filter, it remains selected until you go and change it again, until you go and deselect or make other choices. So even if you close the application, if you close Chrome, you go back in and you open iManage Work, those options will still be there. That is what is meant by a sticky filter. Alright, so now I can just close that list. But did you now see that as I added more activities, my list of recent documents expanded a bit? You can see my list is not very long because I have been on leave, and I presented training last week to a different type of audience, so that's why my list doesn't contain much. Depending on the type of work that you do, yours might also never be very busy. But that doesn't matter as long as you can find what you need as easily and quickly as possible. That's the whole idea behind the document management system. If it's a good one, it should make finding information very easy. Alright, so now I've selected all of those activities. You will see the other options under the filters are for databases. In Cooperative, we only work on one database, and that is called Coop Docs, and that's why we only have that choice. But some of our clients, big firms where we have implemented iManage, may work on more than one, or some of them do work actually on more than one database. And then some users will have access to all of those databases, and they then can select which ones they would like to work in. Then, like I said, the default period that it shows your recent documents is for the last 30 days. So today is the 4th of February. So in here it will show everything that I interacted with via any of these activities since the 5th of January. So 5 January to 4 February would show up here at the moment. You can also filter this list by file type. So if you only want to look for spreadsheets or presentations or whatever, you can do that. The default is to show all types of documents, so I'm just going to leave it at that. And then you could also select, if you're looking for a document that you know, let's say Amy created, then you can quickly filter by simply selecting that. So I can just click on all again and it will show me all the documents. So the filters are a very, very useful feature, and it will help you, it'll help make your life easier within iManage. Alright, so recent documents, you now understand that it shows all the documents you interacted with by default for the last 30 days, and you can select how you want to view that information. We have similar concepts for emails and workspaces. Alright, so let's just quickly have a look at that. So recently filed emails would be the default view that you get to if you click on this emails tab on the left. Same concept applies. It'll show files, emails, that were filed into iManage or saved into iManage by default during the last 30 days. And once again, you can change the filters on the right hand side, and you can select various things. So recently filed emails would include emails where you, the person who's logged in here, were in the to field from CC or BCC fields. Alright, so even emails that were filed by colleagues but you were in either of those, in any of those fields, will show up in your recently filed emails list. The other tab here is emails filed by me, so only the ones that you specifically filed will show up there, of course. All right, if we look at the filters for emails, you can select to look at emails that you sent, so emails from me, or received, where they were sent to you. All right, or you could look at all. Once again, the default is for the last 30 days. You can also select any time period if you just want to look at emails that were filed today, yesterday, in the last week, or over the last 30 days. You can always also go and select a specific to and from date within the last 30 days. All right, but the default view, like I say, is for the last 30 days. Then you can choose whether you want to see emails with attachments or not. So you can either select has attachment or all of them, which will include, so that would show only emails with attachments, and this one would show all, whether they have an attachment or not. And then you can go and look for specific senders, entities, and workspaces, of course. If I click on that right hand arrow, it closes my filters list again. And then lastly, I'm just going to look entities. There's not much to filter because you're not really going to be working on a client as such. Most of our information relates per matter. So to just finish all of these options on the left hand side, there's recent workspaces, which, as you may have guessed by now, will show you workspaces you interacted with in the last 30 days. You can also go and set filters there. And then we will look at the my workspaces and my favorites concepts in later videos. That is just lists of shortcuts that you can create to specific elements, and you can share the list of my workspaces as well.